Bitches, how are you? Today's Tuesday, June 12th, and it's the Gorgeous George Dan Tom show. Goes is still on vacation. I think he's driving back from El Paso out or something like that. I trip out on Goes because when I asked him, "Hey, you going to Chicago?" He's like, "Man," he goes, "Money's a little tight. I can't go." But since he's told me that, he's gone to El Paso twice.
Twice? I remember talking about it once. Whoa, okay.
No, he went twice.
Right. All right.
He went twice.
That's right now.
So, unless he knows somebody that's got a private plane that's just going back and forth to El Paso.
That
costs money
from you guys.
You know what I mean? My brother's in love or something, man. He's not trying to go to little mini junkie gatherings or anything like that. He's trying to go to El Paso.
Coming up in a minute.
Hang out with the lady's family. I think there was a graduation or something like that. But he tries to be slick, you know.
That's a good move.
Money's tight, blah, blah, blah. And then he does these little sneakaways. But I'm listening. I be watching.
Got him.
I was trying until the end, man. And I told you guys already. I got hosed by Russ from Boston. You should try Priceline. And that fucking cost me, man. I had already, you know how a credit card has 16 digits? I had already put in like 6 or 8 of them. I was doing this deal where I was looking at the card, dun, 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 and then the notification came on my computer.
Right.
And because he's known as the real deal, I thought, well, shit, maybe there's something he knows that I don't. Maybe Priceline's $50 less or something.
All right, guys, coming up.
Fuck no, it wasn't, man. I got jobbed.
Russ got a lot of digging to get out of that hole.
Everybody had a good time but me.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me today, as he always is the fight analyst to my left. Back east, producing Danny Otto. Goes is on vacation. Hello, guys.
What's going on?
That's what they say on the evening news. So-and-so's on vacation. And then they just get right to it.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah.
Notice that.
Goes is on his way back from El Paso. I was mentioning this during the pre-show.
Yeah, you were.
So, safe travels, Goes. I think he's driving back with a lady. And he's due to arrive just in time to go to Contender Series. But the son of a gun didn't answer me if he was going to Contender Series or not. He's the one that reminded me to put in my credential. No. Well, I forget, but he was telling me. It sounded like he was down, you know. But I don't know. Maybe I'll see him there, maybe not. But I'm excited. It's a 10-week season, yeah. 5 fights every Tuesday. I don't think they'll skip a Tuesday. I hope not. Ooh, now that I think about it, will it be done in time for International Fight Week? Because International Fight Week has the World MMA Awards.
It looks like they went light. I just was glancing over the schedule. It looks like they went light on their heavy weeks, almost like knowing that they're going to have to dedicate some time to that. But
so they won't have one that week.
Yeah, it looks like they skipped the July dates, for example.
Okay.
Like this, it looks like they know that their crew, because it's not just the Saturday show; it's the Friday Night Tough finale. So I got to imagine it's all hands on deck. So thank goodness, because I, as far as the behind the scenes production side to the media side of things, as far as that goes, yeah, it becomes logistical kind of a nightmare when you have too many events. So
right.
It looks like they're at least thinking of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll find out today to make sure. But it's supposed to be a 10-week run, and kind of comes in at the right time because Tough is finishing up, and then we have the finale and International Fight Week. But here's what's good about it: as a sports fan, you got to remember NHL and NBA. If I'm not mistaken, they ended one day apart. Usually we go into like the 3rd week of June, sometimes the 4th week of June with some Game 7s, but the Caps took us out in 5 games. And Cleveland got swept by the Warriors. So it's all done. That's it. Yes, I know there's baseball, but baseball's kind of like it's how can what's a good comparison? I don't know. I can't think of one. I'm not witty enough. But baseball starts off hot. Opening day, are you going? Yeah. How do you think we're gonna do it? I think we got a shot, And it's fun, especially if you get out of the gate 4 in a row or 5 in 1 or something, and someone's hitting 420. Hey, can you keep it up? That bullshit. And then all of a sudden, April's done, and the hardcores are into it. They're turning in their fantasy, their fantasy baseball, and then the ones that started off, they start tucking in that jersey or that shirt, and that little fun is over.
Right.
And then you just got to grind it out, 162 games until you get to September, or maybe even late August. I think there's this period where you go up to 40. Your team can go from 25 to 40. And I take it back. There's a deadline. There's a trading deadline in July where you can go from one league to the next, and then there's one later on. I'm not sure of that day. I think it's August, where you can trade within the league, and that's your last chance to fatten up your team, if you're one of those that maybe didn't expect to be there, but you're there and you need a pitcher or you need an extra bat or whatever. And then September can be a lot of fun, and the baseball playoffs really are a lot of fun. It's just a lot of strategy and people get into it. It's cool, but boy, do they lose me, man, for the months of May, June, July, August. I'm out. April, September, and the first week of October, however long it lasts in October,
right.
I'm kind of in, but I can't do it, Dan Tom. NBA's a grind.
Right. Yeah.
NHL, I didn't even expect that. Throw in MMA, and then I really try and have some sort of a summer vacation or just do more weekends to Cali.
That's smart.
My mom and my dad, between my mom and my dad and Mother's Day, Father's Day, there's like 4 weekends that I head back within 2 months. Well, I should be heading back. I don't always accomplish that, unfortunately, but I that's what I plan on doing from here on out. And but what's going to help is the World Cup. Check this out. I got the odds on the World Cup.
Okay.
The favorite to win it all. I know you don't know much about soccer, but you probably have an idea, right?
Right. The powerhouses.
I'll give you 3 guesses.
Powerhouses.
Who's the favorite?
For World Cup, España.
They're not the favorite.
Okay. Germany?
They are the favorite.
Okay.
3.5 to 1. Coming in next is Brazil at 4 to 1. France is 5 to 1. España is 6 to 1. Well, no, Argentina is 9 to 2, which is 4.5 to 1. So they're squeezed in there somewhere. But but the answer was Germany, who are the defending champions, by the way. And then after that, I think you got to get to Belgium, England, Portugal, and Uruguay. They're all 10, 12, 15, and 20 to 1, respectively.
Wow.
Those are the teams that have a chance to win it. And then after that, there really is not a Vegas Golden Knights here. You're not looking at Leicester City in the Premier League a few years ago. You're not looking at the Vegas. There really isn't a team that you can put 10, 20 bucks on. You might as well burn currency. Saudi Arabia is 750 to 1. Don't even walk up to the window and put $10. They're not going to win it. There's no way. They'll be lucky to get out of their group, and if they did, I think they'd have to beat 4 teams to be the World Cup champions, and I just don't think they can do it.
Now, is this because upsets outside of like Leicester City kind of things are just super rare in soccer compared to other sports, like pound for pound, if you had to measure it roughly?
It would be like...
obviously, combat sports has the edge because it's one punch, but as far as within like sports, like toward basketball, football, as far as playing these odds, playing the lower seeds.
All right, picture the UFC has the type of tournament that Bellator has. 8 fighters in the welterweight division.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia would be like CM Punk.
Okay, I got you.
Right?
That's a good.
He just, and this isn't to disrespect him because he got in there, he did his thing, he battled, he didn't give up, and that's that. He got paid well, he sold tickets. I'm not saying it because of that. I'm just saying it because he can't. If he got past Mike Jackson, he certainly wouldn't get past either Colby, Till, RDA, Masvidal, whoever's waiting for him next.
Mm-hmm.
And if he got past that guy, he certainly wouldn't get past who's left, Maya, Lawler. And if he somehow got past that, he just wouldn't get past Lawler. That's just what wouldn't happen with Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
All right. Panama, Tunisia, but it's an accomplishment to make it to the World Cup. I think you just hope because the fans are going to travel. Each country's bringing a contingent, and I think the fans just want one win. And if you can get to the next round, because you're going to play, they're divided in groups of 4, and there's 8 groups of 4, so there's 32 teams overall. If you can just kind of get out of that group and make it to the playoff round, similar to PFL,
yeah,
just get out of the regular season and make it to the playoff, man, that'd be great. That gives your fans a chance to travel one more time, and then that's it. You know what I mean? But even the fans of all these countries to the right, Serbia, Sweden, I'm not singling out Saudi Arabia. They just happen to be last. Senegal, Nigeria, Peru, Egypt, they have not made plans to stay past whenever the last group stage game is. Maybe the most optimistic padded themselves an extra 3 days just in case they did make it to that round. And if not, they could always go to another game, but I would be surprised if anybody stayed further than that.
Man, too bad.
We did that in 2006 for Germany. We planned on the 3 games, and did we leave right after the last game? I mean, it was pretty close because it's about 2 weeks to get through those 3 games.
Yeah.
And so we did those side trips. We went to Prague for a couple days, and we went to Amsterdam. You ever been to Prague?
No, but that would have been rad. Well, I did go through Germany. It wasn't during like cup time. This was 2009. But there was a game going on, and I just remember all the forgive me, I don't know the team, but I just remember all the blue jerseys with a little bit of white trim on there, but mainly blue jerseys, just marching through the trains in Germany, and they were just cheering, having their football chants and in commute, and just as you got closer to the arena, more and more people, more and more jerseys filled the train. This was I didn't make it up to Berlin, so it wasn't up there. This was probably near Munich or a city around there, but I was mainly staying in Munich.
Well, when did you go? What time of the year?
April.
Oh, you may have actually been there for the German Bundesliga, their actual league.
Okay.
So it may have been a team that wears blue, but if it was an international friendly, then it could have been, I guess, France. Italy wears blue. With the white trim.
That's right.
But yeah, man. So I'm going to be into this, and it starts this Thursday, and I would say don't go any further than the 20-1 shot. I mean, Russia's 50-1. Well, no, they're mixing it up here. Sorry, Colombia's 25-1. I don't think they can win it. Poland's 35-1. Croatia and Mexico are both 30-1, and then you get into the triple digits. I mean, one more, Denmark 80-1. Then you get into the triple digits, and I really believe you're just giving money away at that point. They don't have what it takes.
You know, you mentioned PFL scoring, and as well as I mentioned fantasy as well. And too bad that they don't do the World Cup based on fantasy scoring or PFL scoring, because in that case, takedowns would score you more. Maybe España would be a little higher. As a favorite. That's
how DraftKings work, right? You were telling me?
Yeah, you get more points for takedowns. And from what I see, there's some of that going down on the on the soccer field there. So,
I actually saved the standings for PFL. I'm looking right here. I have a bunch of windows open. I thought I kept one open from PFL.
Tracking who got what points?
Yeah, you know, we didn't really get too much of a chance to dive into the results, but I had a window open, and it had to do with the standings. And now I don't see it. But, okay. anyway, Harrison, for example, Harrison in the main event got a win, but it was a decision win.
Right.
So he's kind of in the middle of the pack. He just has 3 points. And there's a few others that got finishes, like Seiler. He triangled someone. Lance Palmer. And those guys are sitting up towards the top. I think if Harrison just wins his next fight, he's in.
Right.
Because 8 make it. If 4 made it, then it'd be interesting because, you know, if 4 made it to the semifinals instead of 8 to the quarterfinals, then Harrison would have to feel pressure about his next fight because he would need to get the 3 you get for winning and then the 3 for finishing in the first round. That would be interesting. Now, this is where I think somebody sitting at PFL, I don't know if it's Eve Edwards, he was kind of doing that little telestrator or whatever, but someone may be sitting there going, okay, season 2, don't do this, don't do that, do this, so that next year it can be even better, you know. But again, it's just an interesting twist that they have, and not this Thursday, but a week from Thursday, they'll be in Chicago, and they'll be, I think, light heavyweights is one of the weight classes. I don't know what the other one is, but same thing, you know. They're just going to be that much closer to $1 million.
Yeah, that alone is going to make you feel more competitive each time, each match in.
I was just telling Martin Stabilo yesterday, and this goes for, is he here today?
Yeah, I was just looking for him. No.
Did he make it in at all? No?
Martin, hopefully you're all right.
Okay. So I was just telling Martin, and this goes for anyone that comes to Vegas. I probably came to Vegas 150 times before I moved to Vegas. As a Californian, you some people do it once a month, some people do it twice a year, some once a year, some once every 2 years. But most Californians just find a reason to come to Vegas. It's a statistic that's true. 60% of the revenue in all of Las Vegas comes from California. But anyway, what I'm getting at is when you come to Vegas, whether it's to party or gamble, I mean, all right, this is for the gamblers. If you come to gamble, most people consider it a win to leave breaking even. If you paid for your drinks, the clubbing, the tips, the food, and you leave with what you came, that's a win. Yeah?
Yeah.
Savvy people consider that a win. Others like, no, you know, other people want to leave with more than they came. I mean, everybody does, but that's not realistic because Vegas is a little expensive. But what I was telling Martin Stabilo was I went to a bachelor party, kind of like trip number 50 out of my 150. And he had organized, somebody had organized for the bachelor a little mini tournament of Texas Hold'em, because poker was a boom, you know, in the 90s and early 2000s. People were having them at their houses and fundraisers and here in Vegas. So that's what we did. We went to actual Binions where they used to hold the World Series of Poker prior to them moving to the Rio. So we were there, and it was kind of cool. And the meeting time was 8 a.m., and then we were all going to have breakfast. And then I think we either went upstairs to the poker room or downstairs. Forget it. Whatever. It's not important. As I was doing it and I was going down the escalator, all I saw was these big pictures, 8x10s, bigger maybe, I don't know, of people with their name and the millions they had won. And it said, like, Martin Stabilo, 4.2 million. Dan Tom, 1.2 million. All of them were standing next to a slot machine. Nobody was standing holding an ace and a king, you know, from a great run at blackjack. I mean, unless you're playing Dana White money, 50,000 a hand or whatever.
That's true.
And, of course, I'm sure the poker room had their own thing, but what I'm getting at is on both sides, there was about 20, 30 pictures on each side, and it was all the point millions or millions point whatever of people that had that was life-changing. So, finishing what I started, if you come to Vegas with $1,000 or $500, whatever it is, always budget 10% and pull that damn machine. Whether it's Megabucks or something else, hello sir, or something else that's out there. The Monopoly game's popular, the Simpsons game's popular. Anything where you see that there's a nice pot of at least 100 grand or 800 grand or 4.2 or 20.1, whatever million, pull it, right? And if you lose, you lose. But I'm telling you, you may not win the 20 million or the 400 grand, but you still might win 1,200 or 6,000. People do it on penny slots. They do it all the time. And every once in a while you do it, man. And I'm telling you, Dan, those are the trips where you just go, fuck yeah, Vegas is a blast. Blackjack, you got to grind, man. I don't care how good you are. You got to grind. And you may have a couple in a row, but then a couple you get smoked. And the next thing you know, like, oh. And you better learn. You better take the time to learn all these games. Whether it's blackjack or craps, a lot of the casinos in the early morning, they actually offer lessons. Get a book at the airport. Get the little cheat sheets, whatever it is. But don't get in. Close the gap. Every single game has an advantage over you. Close the gap is all I got to say. Because otherwise you're going to get served up. So you might as well just lessen the beatings that you take. And hopefully when you win a good one, it trumps it. And always get, we might as well just finish out Vegas 101. Always get the player's card that applies to that certain hotel. So first thing you do, you check in and go down to the player's club and go, hey, what's your player's club? I want a card. I want a couple of them. Always put them in the slots. That's when you get the invites to stay for free. And they want you to come, and they're hoping that you drop more. But if you're pretty disciplined, you may just show up, catch a show, pull a couple times, $100, you got me, But you still got to go to a show, and you still got to stay for free. A lot of times you don't have to amass tons of losses for them to call you for free. They just want people in the door. They're hoping that that's what you do, They're hoping you visit their steakhouse and their nightclub and their show and what have you. All right, I know Keri Melendez is going to call in soon, so let's take this quick break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. We'll talk to Keri Melendez, who's got a fight coming up at Bellator 201. And in the second hour, we'll be talking to Jorge Masvidal, who was in the corner of Colby Covington and Yoel Romero this past weekend at UFC 225. Want to talk to him about that experience. Plus, who's he fighting next? We haven't seen George since last November. I think it's time we try and maybe pin him down to a date, to an opponent, something, nothing. Hell, I don't know. We'll be right back.
say, your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
Here U2 play a special concert exclusively for SiriusXM subscribers at the world-famous Apollo Theater. SiriusXM hosts and renowned rock journalists Bill Flanagan and Jenny Eliscu bring you pre-show coverage tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. Then hear U2 captured live from the Apollo at 5 Eastern and 2 Pacific, exclusively on the U2 Experience, SiriusXM, Channel 30, and on your phone or at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Apologies to Miss Eliscu if I'm maybe pronounced her name wrong. It could be Eliscu. I don't know. That's a tricky one. It sounds Romanian or something like that, but it says renowned rock journalist. Danny, do you happen to know this name?
I don't know either one of those.
Jenny
names.
Eliscu. All right. Well,
never heard
tune
that
in.
name before.
Sounds like they have something good going on there before that U2 concert that we were pumping up. Hopefully, someone from Rush 93 won that. All right, it looks like Keri Melendez will be calling in a couple minutes. So, I thought I found it here. It looked like somebody had released the salaries for UFC 225. Let's see. There's a website here called Sportskeeda. It says the Sports Daily have revealed that Punk earned an estimated $503,000 from his loss, which included $500,000 in appearance fee and $3,500 as fight week incentive pay. So that would be the Reebok money. Mike Jackson made $23,500, which includes 10 to appear. See, they're wording it differently.
Okay.
10 show money, 10 win bonus, $3,500 as incentive pay. But I haven't seen us release the salaries, so I'm just kind of trudging around this, just making sure that this is legitimate. But it does look pretty legitimate, and I would expect about a $500 million or $500,000 payday from Punk, right, Danton? What do you think?
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Probably was worth it. Like he sold pay-per-views.
And didn't he get I imagine at least, whether it's public, but some kind of front-end bonus for just signing and staying along and
perhaps
being able to secure him this whole time. I think there was something on the front end there.
I think that's what they paid James Toney when he fought Randy Couture. I thought it was $500,000 as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right, too.
Do you think this will be the last time a celebrity or, well, I guess they haven't really done a celebrity, but a former athlete or a current athlete from another sport will partake? You think Dana has had his fill? No pun intended, Phil Brooks. Do you think he's had his fill with this?
I would like to think so. If we were talking about Dana, if we were talking about the sport, and if we were talking about how Dana and the Fertitta brothers, more importantly, kind of facilitated and really took ownership of the image of the sport. They felt it reflected on them, right? They wanted that UFC brand. But with the WMEING, whatever the endeavor, as much as we would like to think that, we were talking about the show, why aren't they using the fishing guy for this, or doing this with this, or using their entertainment stuff for that, for their criticisms? The one thing that they're doing that I think a lot of us expected was anything big as far as big movers or quote unquote needle movers. They're going to jump on and really just try to wring those sponges dry, right? So
what if Mark Wahlberg wanted to fight Justin Bieber?
I think there'd be enough people outside of Dana White saying, "Hey, do it." That a
million pay-per-views would be sold. Would the UFC do it and just go, "Hey, we're in the business of making money"?
I think again, when you're talking about the bills to be paid and who owns the bills and who's kind of the lock and key, it's not all Dana White now. So I will say yes. I don't want that to be the case, but with the outside influence that currently exists and the structure that currently exists, it feels like the UFC is serving more masters and more how it used to be. I will say, there's positives to go along. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom over here, but let's be honest. There's much more chefs in the kitchen, I guess is what I'm trying to say with where the UFC's at now.
Would you be in favor of that?
I would not be in favor of it. No. I'm more, again, like you said, don't get me wrong. When the heat's in play, like yesterday with Colby Covington and Woodley, I'm all about heat. I'm all about taking those angles. But at the end of the day, those are two guys who dedicated their lives to combat, whether it was wrestling, MMA. At the end of the day, that's what it's about for me too. So,
one other way to look at it sometimes, this is real what I'm about to say.
Okay.
But the UFC does keep us employed.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I guess if it keeps them employed, like we can sit there and go, this is a sport. This shouldn't happen.
Right,
blah blah blah.
right.
But once they go forth with it, I guess it's like, all right, here we go. Leather helmets, put them on.
That's why I give two answers, though. You know what I'm saying? Because like it's kind of like this with the judging. Most of us have two answers because there's what we feel is right, but we've also been a part of the sport and watched it for so long that we know that's not how fights are scored, right? And we can have our opinions on whether or not a guy like CM Punk, if you want to ask me just that question alone, should he be on a main card for UFC pay-per-view? I'm going to say, well, no, that doesn't fit the quality. There's nothing against CM Punk personally at all when I say that, right? But then there's the other answer, like you said, not just keeping us employed or anything like that. Even if I wasn't employed, there's that. I would want. I'm a fan. I want to see the UFC do well. It doesn't matter that I work in the field or not. I always wanted to see them or anybody else do well because I love the sport.
Here's what I think of, bro. Kimbo, love him or not, to those that felt like he should have been here or not, that was a high-rated season. He got big numbers on CBS. He got big numbers for the UFC.
Yeah.
There's people that have told me I became a fan through Kimbo.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's women that have told me I became a fan through Ronda. So it'd probably be fair to say that the net result would be not a bunch, but somebody would say I became a fan through that crazy Wahlberg Bieber fight that they had. They had some beef or maybe the game and Drake. I don't know. I mean, like, for some reason, I think we're not done. Like, part of me says we are done. We didn't really talk about this much yesterday, but Punk fought Jackson, and exactly. We didn't cover it yesterday. Punk fought Jackson. Jackson won. Jackson, I think, won 30-26 on all 3 cards. Dana White was pissed because he didn't finish him. He felt like he was goofing. Mike Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was almost saying Mark Jackson. Mike Jackson said, hey, man, can you imagine being the guy that lost to Punk? So even though he knew he was in the lead, he didn't want to get careless. I see his point, and I see Dana White's point. But I see Dana White's point more, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was sitting with my boys at the Tustin Man Cave, what I was telling them was, if Jackson really wants to have one more fight, so far he had reached a point where he actually looked good with his striking, where if he had finished Punk early, okay, cool. If he had finished Punk early and said the right things, he may have talked himself into another one. Like, he was just there because it was 2 0-1 guys who had a common loss to Mickey Gall fighting. But there was a point where Mike Jackson actually looked pretty good in the striking early. And if he had done something to turn it on, he could have grabbed the mic and said, hey, I'm the real deal here, like, give me another chance. I bet you he would have been able to talk him into it. That's the part where, even though he elected to take his foot off the gas and cruise to the finish line, it may have cost him at least that. So, was it an embarrassment? I mean, maybe making the whole matchup was an embarrassment. Who knows? But what did you expect when you brought in 2 of those guys that really weren't the top, even in the top 500 welterweights of the world? That's just kind of what, your bar has to drop a little bit. Okay, let's talk to our first guest. She's ready to go. You can't ask for a better debut than what Keri Melendez had not too long ago. And so now she's following up at Bellator 201. McFarland versus Lara. That's the headline bout at Pechanga Resort Casino in Temecula, California on June 29th. My pop's birthday, by the way. Carrie Ann is back, and she will be fighting on that fight card to see if she can take it to 2-0. She'll be fighting Tiani Valley. She joins us now on the hotline. Hello, Carrie. How you doing?
Hi, very well. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us here again on the MMA Junkie radio show. It's kind of cool having to book you through your superstar husband, Gilbert Melendez, who we've had on the show many times. I know he's obviously in your corner as a trainer, but does he even play the manager role? Does he cook your meals? Like, do the roles reverse a little bit? Or what are the roles, I should say, during a training camp?
This training camp, he has been definitely, he's always been my manager. He helps do my contracts and just talks to pretty much any sort of business inquiries and deals. He helps manage that. But for this camp, actually, he has been doing quite a bit more, I don't want to call it little tasking, but just definitely helping out a lot more. Even in the kitchen, he's learn to cook a good egg, and he's never done that. So, so I was happy about that.
Okay.
But yeah, he's been very helpful all around. I'm not, little specifics. I have to think about that, but just overall, I definitely a lot. He actually has been waking up the last month of my daughter's school and taking her to school for me, so I don't have to, so I can sleep in a little bit. So he's been awesome.
That's awesome to hear. I think about Pat Barry. Although it appears he is retired from MMA, and I know Gilbert isn't, or at least he hasn't announced it, Pat said something that was pretty cool. He said, I had my career, and now it's time for Mama Bear. Mama Bear being Rose Namajunas, and he was all in, you know what I mean? You see her in his corner, and when she's had successes, the tears are coming down his face. So I don't know if the same thing is kind of happening over in the Melendez household or not, but just to see, a fighter like Barry, like Pat Barry, and now a fighter like Gilbert Melendez shifting gears and doing that, I admire that in somebody that can transition like that, you know what I mean? And now the shine's off them, and they're helping, their significant other with their career.
Yes, definitely. And Gilbert is not done yet, but he is an awesome partner and companion, and he knows that right now we discussed it early in the year that I'd fight first, so he decided to fight second and, make it work for me.
Mm-hmm. All right, so he does do the manager role, contracts, he's cracking the eggs in the morning, he's taking the kids to school, and then as far as the overall camp, is he running it, or is he just one of many coaches that run your camp?
I would say he and my striking coach, they're my head coaches, and he is at almost every practice of mine, and he runs the MMA team. So, and specifically for me, we do side practices, and I get a little extra attention, thank goodness. But him and my Muay Thai coach, Junction on the Winterman.
Do you leave it at the gym, or when you guys get home, are you still talking either about the fight or just the sport in general?
When we're at home, we talk about it a lot, and we game plan a lot. We talk about we have the same striking coach, so we talk about our pad work and what worked today and the things that we wanted to add and anything that we could tell each other that could help each other improve. We do that in the striking and in the grappling portion. Sometimes he tries to bring that at home, and I do like that, but he's a little hard on me. So I'm like, let's leave that at the gym. Let's leave that at the gym. I don't want you to be so critical on me all the time. So sometimes with MMA and grappling, he'll come back and he'll just be like, you need to do this, this, and that. And I was like, okay, I'm done with that today. I'm done with that today.
I often hear.
So, yeah, we do bring it back at home, and we talk about it a lot at home, and we talk about fights a lot at home, and we talk about strategy a lot at home, and we're definitely big fans of the sport. So it is. We do bring it back at home. Is the answer to your question.
So I've heard a lot of fighters when they talk about this is mostly a sibling situation, but there are married couples and and couples that are dating and sometimes just good friends, right? And they'll say, I'm more nervous for the other person than I am for my own fights. And I'm sure that applies here. But is that only on fight night, or is he like kind of nervous throughout your camp?
If Gilbert is nervous at my camp, he doesn't show it. He definitely just constantly tells me, he's like, I have so much faith in you. You're doing amazing. You're great. I can't wait for a fight night. But I'm sure fight night he does get nervous, but I don't really, lately I haven't seen it. But when I first came back and started to do a couple Muay Thai fights, and like one in 2012 and one in 2014, I saw him get a little nervous. But lately he has not. I think he's seen the work that I put into the gym, and he knows how serious that I'm taking it. So if he is nervous, I don't really see it.
Now, I may be like 4 questions late here with this next one I'm about to ask. And we're talking to Keri Taylor Melendez, the better half of the Melendez crew. Gilbert, her husband, former Strikeforce champ. But, you're probably going to get this a lot. But do you actually like the fact that I guess this ties into you guys are a fighting family? And here's why I ask. Sometimes people will say, hey, you're the son of Michael Jordan, or you're the son of whoever. And they always say, well, I'm trying to be me. I'm trying to be me. Almost like a subtle push to the interviewer, as if to say, stop asking me about him or her or them, and let's focus more on me. How about with you? Do you like being lumped in, like being a fighting couple, or do you prefer just kind of standing alone, and just being Keri Melendez and more of the focus on you?
I don't mind being a fighting couple. I think Gilbert's done amazing things in his career, and sometimes the reference is, oh, you guys have the same fighting style. There's certain people that have said that to me, and I take that as a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
And we do like to do things together and help, brand each other together, even though I'm so new in MMA.
Mm-hmm.
But I like being associated and being a fighting family, and my daughter trains, so I like that. I definitely hope, though, that people become a fan of me, not just because I'm Gilbert's wife, that
right.
they like my fighting style. I would like the respect in the fight game.
Mm-hmm.
But for us being grouped together, I don't mind that.
Mm-hmm. So you're from, if I'm not mistaken, the Valley, right? Like a little bit north of L.A. This fight's in Temecula. Now, do you still have a lot of family based there, and will a lot of people be traveling to Temecula for your fight?
I'm letting Gilbert talk to all my family, but I know that there's a good amount of my family and friends, and some people coming from the Bay. But in LA, I do keep in touch with some of the people, but I'm not sure, if they're going to come out. A lot of people say they are. Sometimes I don't even see them, but I know a lot of Gilbert's family is going to come also. So I believe I'm going to have a good amount of support there. I don't know how many of my old friends are going to come, but there's always at least, a handful that come and surprise me, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe you guys are here.
That's awesome. All right. Keri Taylor Melendez is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. She'll be fighting on June 29th at Bellator 201. 1-0 after a successful debut. It couldn't have been better. First round stoppage of Sheila Padilla, and now she's got Tiani Valley ahead of her. All right, our fight analyst, Dan Tom, he's got something for you. Dan, what do you have for Keri Ann?
Hey, Keri, I was just curious. Obviously, the goal first and foremost is always yourself and focusing on yourself as a fighter. But were you able to find anything on Tiani? I know she's from Hawaii, but as far as any of her experience, any tape on the one fight, or any of her other outside of experience?
I did. I did go online and I watched some video on her. There wasn't too much on her, but I do know that she is a striker, and the fight that I did watch, I felt like she was predominantly good at boxing. I'm definitely not going to take anything else lightly or her grappling, but I believe that she's a predominantly a striker, and I think there was a couple different sites that said she was 8-2 as an amateur or 8-4, so she has a lot of experience, and this fight really excites me, and I can't wait to go and see who the better striker is.
For sure, and obviously you touched on it before. For people that don't know, you have much more experience and your pro record leads on. So with that in mind, obviously you had the injury, and we know we haven't seen you at least on that stage in a minute. After this fight, you don't want to look too far ahead, but regardless, are you thinking about just trying to get back in, or do you and Gil maybe take a nice little vacation, or is there anything in that regard, or do you just ignore the schedule past the fight?
I want to stay as busy as I can after this fight. This injury took a little bit of a toll on me, more than I thought. This camp has been a little bit more grueling, and every camp is definitely the biggest camp of my life because I don't take any opponent lightly. I train the same. I'll train like I'm fighting the world champion. But this injury it's been a little grueling. It's been a little bit hard to get back to par and where I wanted to be, and took me a little bit longer than I expected. So now that I am back to par, I do want to stay busy and active as I can be. The only thing I'm going to worry about is just working around Gilbert's next fight. Other than that, I think I'll jump on another fight with a shorter camp notice and anything that's going to keep me a little bit more active.
Kind of cool that you're on the same card as the champ, so same timeline. I know we're jumping ahead here. This is only your second fight in MMA, but you have competed before in other martial arts, and but I always tell the fighters, try and get close to the timeline of the champ or on the same card. You just never know. You can catch a break when you least expect it. You know what I mean? Like there's a big spotlight on her and the flyweight division, so I don't know if that was purposely done, but I just think you hit a lot of check marks there with coming back to SoCal, fighting in front of family and friends, and being on the same fight card as McFarlane.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I was excited for the women's main event and to be on the card.
Yeah. Can't wait. I think I'm going to make it out there as well. I was talking to Mr. Melendez, Gil Sr., and he was in Vegas not too long ago. So he was getting me pumped up about it. So hopefully we'll see you there. And I want to thank you for the time. Thanks for squeezing us in. I know you're in the middle of the heavy lifting here of the training camp. These are the tougher days, but I hope you get through it safely. Safe travels to SoCal, and we'll see you on the 29th. Thank you, Keri Ann, for the time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, we'll see you. That is Keri Ann Melendez. You can follow her on Twitter at Keri Melendez 415 KeriMelendez 415. Let her know you heard her on the at MMA Junkie radio show. Let's get this break out of the way. When we come back, we'll take some calls. The end of this hour and the beginning of the next hour is wide open, and then we'll finish out with Jorge Masvidal. So if you want to call in and follow Dean from Georgia, who will be batting leadoff, it's 866-522-2846. Again, this is the MMA Junkie radio show, live from the Mandalay Bay. Stay close. We'll be right back.
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Sorry about that, Rock. If you play fantasy sports, SiriusXM has a channel just for you. Listen to Fantasy Sports Radio to hear expert advice from the top fantasy baseball and fantasy football analysts. Whether you need help setting your fantasy baseball lineup or you want to know who the breakout players are in fantasy football for this season, the place to be is Sirius 210 XM87, or listen on the SiriusXM app by searching Fantasy Sports. Dean from Georgia, he's up here on the hotline. What's up, Dean? How you doing?
Gentlemen, what's going on? How's it going, Gigi?
Good, and yourself?
I'm doing well, Dan. How's it going?
Good.
So I had you had mentioned about how there's no stars. That's absolutely false, because tonight on the Dana White Contender
Wait, I said no stars? When did I say that?
You said that they weren't going to go to the avenue of no more going through trying to promote stars.
Oh, yes, you're correct. Okay, go ahead.
You have the two NFL players, Wayne and Hardy, going on tonight in the Dana White Contender Series.
Very
I
true.
suppose you're right. I mean, I don't know if I compare them to Wahlberg and Bieber, and I kind of meant more from the those are athletes, you know. Well, fuck. I guess he's right. Look, on a technicality, you're right. Yep. I don't know that they're on the level of Punk's popularity. So in other words, if Hardy makes it, is he selling a ton of pay-per-views? Maybe not. I mean, he did play NFL. So did Mitrione. Schaub didn't, or Schaub I think got a tryout. Brock got a tryout, but Mitrione actually logged games. I think he actually played a couple seasons and had games. But Hardy did play at a higher level. So you know what hurts Hardy obviously is his past. I know there was allegations.
Right.
There was convictions, and then through an appeal, the conviction was taken off, and so that's why I think the UFC has elected to give him a second chance. But that whole case is kind of complicated. I kind of tried to dive into it a little bit just to see what was the deal, you know, with it. But yeah, you caught me off guard because I was thinking more on the pop culture side.
And two quick things. I kind of felt Michael Jackson, he kind of did promote himself. He probably didn't think that he was getting another UFC shot, but I think he is 6-0 as a boxer. And he did mention, he was like, whatever they, provide me if I get another shot at UFC, but then he kind of threw in that jab and saying, hey, or boxing, so then potentially if maybe Showtime or some other type boxing promotion may pick him up. Now he has a little more.
If he had those types of boxing skills, I don't think he would have been fighting in MMA. I think if he was going to do anything in any sport, MMA was a good ticket. And that was, look, man, there was points in that fight that Punk was a punching bag, right, Dan? I mean, would you agree? Or if you don't want to co-sign, that's fine. But he was on wobbled legs, and he looked like he was one big right hand from just coming down crashing on the canvas. And I really think Mike Jackson could have gotten there and lit him up, and he didn't. Now, granted, he's 0-1. Maybe he didn't have the fight IQ or the fight awareness, but I thought it was pretty simple. I'm way better than you as a striker, and on the ground, he felt like he could defend himself. But if anybody were to say, if you missed the fight and someone tapped you on the shoulder and said, Punk won, you wouldn't think Punk knocked him out. You'd probably say, wow, maybe he's jiu-jitsu's for real, or ground and pound, or decision, or what. So I just felt like Jackson had moments where he could have just taken the fight back to the feet, and iced him, man. It was right there. Punk was tired, he was damaged, and he's inexperienced as a striker, and he could have done it, and he didn't. I think that's what got to Dana White. Now, there was times in the fight. Do you remember when he was out of, he had postured up, and he kept looking. I guess it was towards his corner, they were saying. I guess for instruction, maybe, or unless there was a clock there. Did you catch that, Dan? Where he would posture up and look and then decide what to do? And I think that's what got under Dana White's skin, is like, is this guy showing off, or does this guy not get it? Or I don't know. I was looking at it as full stand up and then blast this kid,
Well, I don't think I got to share my thoughts on it, but I'll just say this. I don't think that it doesn't matter what I think, because Mike Jackson didn't help himself. It doesn't matter what I think in regards to was he close to finishing CM Punk or not, because Mike Jackson admitted that he was close to it in his post-fight press conference, which shoots himself in the foot as far as that point, right? Whether or not I think or you think, he admitted he was close to finishing him, admitted that he chose not to, and then what kind of upset me was, I get that you're going to promote the fight, and I could see why CM Punk was explaining why he didn't play in Mike Jackson's promotion, and why some people had an issue with it, because like you were already getting the fight, and maybe even why Dana White in retrospect had some issue with it. Hey, I gave you this opportunity, and you're gonna go talk trash. And before the fight, he was talking about he came on this show and said, I'm gonna give CM Punk CTE and head trauma, and you guys know old Dan Tom's feelings about that. And what he went and did and said, in the post-fight, said, I could have finished him, but I didn't because I didn't want to give him CTE, and then used that CTE flag and used it as a defense, saying, Dana, the other fighters, anybody who criticized me must want me to give this poor guy brain damage, trying to flip the script on who's the victim, and I did not appreciate that. I think he shot himself in the foot, regardless if I appreciate that or not.
He's trying to cover all kinds of bases there.
Yeah, that said, in his defense, do I feel like he was showboating with the, as Dana White said, bolo punches, or the what you were just referencing, George, looking to his corner? I don't think that was bad at all. I don't think that was showboating at all, and I think he brought up some good points, whether he was trying to bring up points on hypocrisy on who we think showboats and who he doesn't, which is probably a whole nother conversation that could be had. So I'm not trashing the guy. In fact, I'm defending him on certain points. And I think Dana White, at the end of the day, I side with George, where I think that it is more Mike Jackson's fault. But the thing with Dana White is the ultimate trump card is you booked it, man. You booked a fight between a journalist and a pro wrestler. You booked it.
Dean, you got about 30 seconds if you want to give a final thought on your trip to Chicago or this fight or anything else.
No, it was a great trip. Thanks, Hal, once again. But when we come back to the thing, can you talk about the difference between 225 and 226? I believe 225 has a more significance because the outcome of the results, there's not that many potential challengers from the winners, such as a Sunsao and Lewis, and that's probably the only ones that I can really think of, where 225 has multiple divisions. I'll take that off the air.
All right, buddy.
Have a great day.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Dean.
All right, I'll pull it up. UFC 225 and UFC 226. We'll do a comparison. We kind of did this last month. I felt like UFC 226 was better on paper. Now we know the results of 225. I mean, hell, now we know the main event was a classic. Now we know that even Colby Covington and RDA had some moments. The results are in, so it'll be a little bit tougher. But still, we'll try our best. I've opened up both windows, and we'll go over that. Plus, we can still take your calls. We got about 30 minutes to fill before we get to Jorge Masvidal. I got the salaries for UFC 225 as well. We'll go over those. Some numbers do jump out at us. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. Or Danny, they know more about the gaming world.
Like a boomerang, I need a
right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. I got the salaries, Dan Tom. You want to hear them?
Let's do it.
Some big numbers. This is according to MMAnews.com. Apology. Let me refresh Junkie and see if we did it. If we did, then I'll obviously go there. But it got my attention because a couple people in either the YouTube or the Facebook chat were talking about how did so-and-so make so much money. So I started to Google, and it doesn't look like we have them. So here we go. I will use these guys. Alistair Overeem, $860,000. That sounds about right. I remember he makes about 800 G's a fight. Robert Whittaker, $610. Now, what I don't have is the breakdown of show and win and everything else. This could include, remember, Robert Whittaker got show, win, a portion of Romero for being overweight. He also got Romero's 50 G's. This does not include pay-per-view bonuses because that takes a while anyway, and that's kind of more discretionary. It's not really public. This is kind of what's reported to the state commissions. But $610 for Robert Whittaker. Now, for those of you that are saying, oh, man, Whittaker shouldn't have taken the fight, which not many said that, honestly. I didn't hear that many. But anybody that said that, or anybody that's ever felt, why does a fighter not take a certain fight when they can just postpone it to a later date or whatever? Well, it's because that camp is grueling. They're already there, and that's when you get paid, you know. And so $610,000 will make me forget that I officially don't have a title defense. But no matter what, I've beaten the number 2 guy twice. But that's what he got. CM Punk, $503,500. Oh, by the way, this also includes Reebok because I see that Punk's $3,500 was thrown in there, so I'm sure it was thrown into Whittaker's as well. Colby Covington, $380. Damn. These numbers are getting up there, huh?
They are. That's a surprising one.
Rafael Dos Santos, in the past when it was like the Couture, the BJ Penn days, we would hear Penn got $300,000, Rich Franklin, $180, and then there was this big drop to like 50s and 40s and 10s and 2,500s.
Yeah.
And now look at this. I mean, they're sitting there banging out big numbers here. So Covington, $380,000. Rafael Dos Anjos, $380,000. He lost, for crying out loud. He made $380 off just Reebok and his salary. These motherfuckers better be right, MMA News, or I look like a fool reporting this. I'm trusting you guys, MMA News, that you're... Oh, that ain't in there. Shango, I'm trying to host. You're throwing me off here. All right. I don't think that no, there ain't no TV deal in here. This is Reebok. This is your show money. This is your win bonus. Rafael Dos Anjos, I know he's a former champ in the lightweight division, but he must just make good money. Like, he's just reached that point. He was fighting for a title. I guess there's something to be said for that. All right. Yo Romero, $290. Andre Arlovsky, $270. They both lost. And if they're taking out the money, if they're already adding in Reebok, and I took off the money and added it to Whittaker, did we already take off Yo Romero's 20%? Probably not, huh? You think he makes over $300,000, and they've already stripped that and paid him $290? See, I wish MMA News had a little bit of a better breakdown of, hey, this is what happened, you know. But I'm trying, guys. We'll revisit it tomorrow if it needs to be cleaned up. Here we go. Rashad Evans, $170. I believe that. And I believe Arlovsky's $270. I've seen high numbers for those guys. Yeah. Charles Oliveira, $165. Why? Because he showed up, he won, and do you think he was able to negotiate a little bit for subbing in for Bobby Green late?
Maybe. He's also a guy who's had deceptively a lot of fights, though, for the promotion. I mean, you really look at his record. He's got to be close to like 20 fights or so.
I'm forgetting the bonus.
Oh, the bonus. There we go. Okay. Yeah, he got a bonus. He did get a bonus. That's right.
So for Whittaker, there's his show, his win, not the pay-per-view. Maybe Romero's 20. The bonus of 100. And Reebok money. Champions get 40,000. Wow. Okay. Let's continue here. Curtis Blades, 105. Joseph Benavidez, 92. Clay, look, if Joseph Benavidez got 50,000, well, no, that's 90,000. 92,000 for showing. Okay, never mind. Clay Guida, 79. Sergio Pettis, 76. Holly Holmes, 75. Ricardo Lama, 68. Claudia Gadelia. Do you call her Claudia when you break down fights? Did someone ask you? Everybody's going out of the way to say Claudia. I say Claudia because I met her as Claudia. In fact, I met her the other day. She introduced herself at Extreme. I don't remember her saying Claudia.
Yeah, I don't think I go out of my way to say it.
Starting to feel terrible for not saying it. John Anik and everyone's going out of their way.
Yeah. I try to stay with that
like
too.
when people butcher my name, there's people that tell me Jorge or whatever, and I just nod. I don't sit there and correct them. Like they don't have to get it right every time, but I heard that a lot. All right. Anthony Smith, 52. Mirsad Bektik, 51. See, that can't be right, bro. He makes what? 25-5 to show and 25-5 to win. I guess he did have an injury. Oh boy, I'm starting to have doubts on what the fuck I'm reporting here. Well, I'll just finish it. Carlos Esparza, 44-5. I mean, Bektik won. Tai Tuivasa, 31,500. He's a heavyweight. There should be more. Mike Jackson, 23,500. Chris De La Rocha, 23,500. Dan Ige, 23,500. Megan Anderson, 13-5. Mike Santiago, 13-5. Rashad Coulter, 13-5. You ever heard of MMA News? I've heard of them, but I haven't gone to their page. But I see it, through Twitter and things like that. Have you ever used these guys?
Just MMA News. That's all it is.
MMAnews.com.
No, I've never been.
I had never heard of Sportskeeda, so I didn't want to go there. I guess there was the sportsdaily.com. That sounds official, but I don't know. Forbes. Is Forbes getting into this whole deal?
Sportskeeda is an Akita who writes up sports in his free time.
Is Forbes getting into the whole MMA deal? I see them chiming in a lot.
Maybe it's just for big stories. They
have salaries. What is that? Oh no, that's DraftKings.
It's funny. It's less and less surprising these days when you see a big name dip their toes into reporting on something in MMA. Whereas like 10 years ago, that would have been what? You'd have to be rubbing your eyes right now, George. You'd be like, I'm seeing trouble. There's no way MMA is on a website like Forbes. Whereas now it's like, yeah, probably.
Dan Stupp changed the game. He was the one that knew salaries were public. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to disrespect Sherdog or Weekly, but I believe Dan Stupp was the first one that was grabbing injuries and salaries. And
injuries for sure. Yeah, I don't know what the salaries rule was, but I remember
they started. Other white websites started following along. There's a lot of things that Dan did that a lot of people don't know about because he doesn't talk about himself. But he really changed the game on how it was being reported. Shout out to Los Zavala, John, Aldo FS, Steve Sparks, Victor with a K, Stewie Motherfucker Griffin, and the LMJVG in the YouTube chat. Somebody called. Luis called, right, Danny?
He did, but he kept getting disconnected. I'd put him on hold and then get disconnected. He called back a couple times, but he hasn't called back since. We have one call, though.
He's probably got that cricket or that trying to save money boost or something. Keeps getting disconnected, my ass. Probably pussing out. Tim Treepus, you did not miss Masvidal. He'll be coming up soon. Brian Redband. That's the guy that works with Rogan, right? If that's the real dude.
Yep.
The comedian. Steve Sparks, Adam Zuniga, a.k.a. DJ Zoo. Good group there. All right. Let's talk to Dan in Oregon. What's up, Dan? How you doing?
I'm great. George.
Hi.
Click the back button. Go click on the Sports Daily. Go click on that link. It's got all the breakdowns.
They're legit? All right, the Sports Daily.
I don't know if they're legit. I'm just looking at it, and it makes a lot of sense. So every person in the title fight made $350K just right off the bat, and so Whittaker made $70K of that. That's how Romero still ended up with $290 because he got $10K from Reebok or some shit.
Mm-hmm. I know that when we used to do it, and I think we still do, right? We report the salaries, don't we? It's the TV ratings we don't report anymore. But the salaries we do, but the guys do such an excellent job of kind of separating what's what. MMA News just kind of said, here's a bunch of money, you figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I like to know, well, how'd they get it? Win, because it's not always like 40 and 40.
Right.
Some actually negotiate a better deal. It'll be like 60 and 20, Continue, Dan, from Oregon.
Man, this has been a great week ever since Colby won. I mean, Oregon hasn't had a champ since Randy Couture. He left us for Vegas. Chael Sonnen was doing the damn thing, but he showed up short every time. Colby actually able to talk some trash and come away with the victory. It's a good day in the 541, I'll tell you what.
And as I look over, he does have a 541 area code, so he can claim it.
That's right.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. All right. Did you catch his interview on the show yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I listened to him on, like, all 3 shows he was on, whatever. But, yeah, great interview you guys did with him.
He's got to polish up that belt, though, before he brings it to Mr. Trump, because obviously it's been in places that are unmentionable.
Yeah.
You guys realize that this can make him essentially number 1, number 2 star in the UFC by going and visiting Trump.
I know it'll be big. I know that for a fact, yep.
This is going to make him and Woodley, I think you guys mentioned this, this is like the most look forward to matchup if you're not talking about the 2 we got right here at 226. I mean, it's hard to overlook the super fight in Holloway versus freaking Ortega.
Oh, that's going to be a good one, too. You're right. I forgot about that one. I keep thinking of Miocic and DC, and they're very respectful, and that's just going to be 2 titans of the sport fighting. But does that register, you know, like in terms of pay-per-views and upkicks in traffic? I think so, because International Fight Week, it's unavoidable. And like Dan from Morgan pointed out, let's not forget about Ortega and Holloway. Now, those guys aren't really going to talk much trash to each other. Ortega's really not on the side of talking trash. And Holloway will if you bring it out of him, but I think for the most part, those 2 fights will just come in, you know, like a ship docking, and then it'll take off, you know, whatever. There won't be any ruckus. But Dillashaw and Garbrandt, when tickets go on sale, which I think they go on sale this Friday, when they start doing press conferences, that thing will heat up. But right now, it's very quiet. The waters are calm. And what's capital IT, is Covington versus Woodley. And that's why Dan, Tom, and I, or at least I dragged Dan, Tom into it. I told Dan when the show was over, I was like, God, I got to talk about this some more. So we did a little bit of a quick video. I don't know if it'll get published or not, but Dan, I think I've convinced you, right? This is the it fight for right now until someone else starts getting into it.
I will say I put it ahead of Miocic and Cormier. I love Miocic and Cormier, both as fighters. It's a super fight. It's International Fight Week, so no matter if they have a super fight or not, the UFC is going to market it to be the fight you can't miss. The hardcores know you can't miss that fight. That being said, it just seems like 2 guys to me doing a business deal saying, hey, let's make some money and let's go fight. And even as a guy who appreciates the honor and all that stuff of the sport, I can appreciate me some good, legitimate heat, and that's what Woodley and Covington brings, whether you like it or not. It brings it.
Cejudo and DJ won't have much of it. You know what I mean? I think Cejudo's been trying to poke a little bit. And then what are the other title fights that are out there? Montano's still injured. Habib is, I think, finishing up his month of Ramadan. It sounds like him and Conor will obviously be a big fight, but until it's officially signed, there's just nothing to really get excited about there.
Yeah.
All right, finish up, Dan.
Man, as I'm thinking about that, okay, I'm just throwing out what ifs here. I think Colby Covington should bring the Black Beast to the White House with him. Get some pictures of Derek Lewis up in there. He's the one who dropped vote for Donald Trump on all the broadcasts and all that shit. So you got to give that man credit, because Ngannou is the known, what do you want to call him? Freaking, he talk crap on Donald Trump, and he's an immigrant. So the immigrant talking crap on Trump versus the black man from Houston going and rescuing freaking white supremacists during the flood. I think that fucking UFC needs to steer into this promotion of Trump versus anti-Trump, and they need to do it with Ngannou versus Black Beast. If they don't do it, the goddamn travesty. That's just my opinion, though. Back to you guys.
Mastermind over here. Look at this guy.
You know, I think what's going to happen here is, I think Colby, if he pulls it off, he pulls it off. But I think the UFC at that point, I don't know that their fighters will. Like, this could be a mess as well.
Yes.
But I think Dana White will be able to pull it off, make it happen. And then I think Colby's going to get a lot of press from it. I think the fight's going to be huge. I think they're both going to make a lot of money. But I don't know how this thing will play out. It just, sometimes we can't have a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes we can't have too much fun without something disruptive happening, and that could be a scary recipe. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Especially like you're like Colby, like he says, he's walking right up to the line, not crossing it, but walking right up to the line. That gets a dangerous game to play.
Well, I will say this. Okay, look, he said his toes on the line. I would have preferred he not talk about Perry's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, to me, to him maybe he's not crossing the line, but to me that's like, you don't do that one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kids and the wives, just kind of leave them at home. You know what I mean? Me and you, all right, whatever. We can say whatever we want. Yeah. But because we're the ones that get locked up.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that I would prefer not.
That's like the Kaiser Soze approach, right? He's just like, not just everybody owed him money. Everyone they knew, everybody owed them money, their family's friends. Like, he goes after everybody. It's the Kaiser Soze approach. Yeah,
by the way, Lonzo Ball, the point guard for the Lakers, supposedly dropped some, I don't know if it's an album or some raps, and he's coming at the Coos. But I was listening to NBA Radio, Channel 86, if you have XM, Sirius XM, and they were trying to debate whether, like, if it's just two teammates having a goof, or if there'll be some legitimate beef. Shaq, I believe, did it to Kobe as well, but that was years ago, and they hated each other.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, the Sports Daily kind of does clean it up a little bit. Let's do a couple here. Overeem 860. Here's how he got it, Dan Tom. 850,000 to show, 10,000 for Reebok. Robert Whittaker got 610, 400,000 to show, 70 from Romero for missing weight, 100,000 for the fight of the night bonus, and 40,000 for fight week incentive pay. So, yeah, there's your 610 right there. Punk got 500 to show, 3,500 for, why do they call it fight week incentive pay? Reebok. Covington got 350 to show, 30,000 from fight week. How did he negotiate that? I guess. See, Covington's moving a needle. He's probably ripped up a contract. You're not going to tell me them other fights qualified for 350,000.
Yeah, heading into this fight,
he probably ripped up a contract, and he came down with Dan Lambert and said, "Dana, what's up?" And Dana probably said, "You're right. You're stirring the pot. You're saying some stuff. That toe's on the line. We got to write you a check, kid." Rafael Dos Anjos got 350 to show, 330 of it from fight week. So now he's put in time though.
And
he's probably about the 20 fight. Yeah, he's former champ. So he did it through work. Being a former champ, I guess he just elevated what he can get. And by the way, well, I don't know if this is public or not. Yeah, I'll keep that one to myself. Romero, 290, 350 to show, 70,000. So it was 350 to show. It would have been more to show. But he wound up getting 70,000 taken away. But some of these cats are out there negotiating some pretty good dough. I haven't seen dough like this in a while, man. Here's how Oliveira got to his number. 165. He got 50 to show, 50 win bonus, 50 bonus for fight performance of the night, and 15 for incentive. So he didn't negotiate anything extra for taking the fight late.
Sense.
If you'll recall, it was Bobby Green versus Clay Guida.
Yep.
Green fell out with what, maybe 2 weeks ago?
It's about right, yeah.
Yeah. Blades got 105. He got 25-25, but a $50,000 bonus. So, see, that 25-25 is going to take a hike up, especially if he's going to fight for a world title soon. Benavidez got 72 to show, 20 from Reebok. Okay, this one kind of helps me out a little bit here. Yeah. I think everything else that I was throwing at you guys kind of figured it out. Let's take this call from Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's your time.
What's going on, fellas?
Showtime.
Not much, man. How about you?
Oh, man, feeling marvelous today, man. You know, I was just going to listen. I wasn't going to even call in today, but Kobe Covington, the habitual line stepper, I just hope he don't put his foot in his mouth. That's put in the mouth. So, you know, as long as he keeps it, you know, in the middle, and don't call a guy like Woodley and, you know, the people where he's from, Ferguson, savages, you know, that's going to be stepping over the line when he do that. It's not gonna go like how it went with the Brazil shit. There's gonna be some other shit if he do that. So I hope he just keep it in the middle. You know, I know they want to fight. I know that's part of his stick. I see it. You know, it's kind of funny. It's kind of corny at the same time too. Remind me of some you know, a foreign type character from him. Was that Happy Days? Fun, you know, talking about with the leather jacket, the macho shit. But you know, I like the kid though. I respect his grind of him. You know, I had to sit there and think about it. You know, this weekend I saw him fight. I'm like, okay, I respect what he's doing. Because he can be down there getting 25, so he talked his way in to get some money. So I can respect that. I just want them to keep it. You know, they both gonna talk trash, but on fight night, this should be a good. I'm just wondering where they're gonna put that card at. Because I know he was talking about October, and I think Woodley wants, you know, talking about what are you talking about, August? So I mean,
Woodley wants August, but dude, you know they fought on June 9th, all right, and August 4th is UFC 227 in LA. That's less than 60 days. That's less than 2 months. You got to give the guy, okay, even if we really tighten the screws, you got to give Covington. We'll give him 1 week off. That makes it June 16th to August 4th. That we're bordering on 6 weeks. That's just not an appropriate camp, honestly. So Woodley's gonna lose that one if that's what he really wants. Yeah. Plus, they just announced Cejudo versus DJ as a co-main to Garbrandt versus Dillashaw. I don't think they're gonna have the third fight there. So now it's like, do they back it up to the unknown location UFC 228 in September, or UFC 229 on October 6th here in Vegas? Which the internet sensation Buffalo Blue has stated that's when Khabib will defend against Conor. Or do they really move it to New York, which is what Colby Covington wants? I have no idea. Thanks for the call, Showtime. We're having a little bit of trouble understanding you, but I think we got the gist of it. Just don't cross the line. You know what, guys? In the history of combat sports, this just kind of gone down the way it has. If the Iron Sheik was able to get away with USA up and offend the whole country, I'm pretty sure a city or a state in Missouri will and maybe possibly can get offended. I don't know. We better get the daily debate out of the way, Dan Tom, because we may spend some time with Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't want to do this post show. So you ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. The question for today, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team, Sans goes, is with a UFC title unification bout likely on deck for champ Tyron Woodley and interim title holder Colby Covington, who wins? Here are your choices: Covington via decision, Covington via stoppage, Woodley via decision, Woodley via stoppage. Now, 1,852 votes have already come in, and one of them won by a landslide. But Dan, I want to ask you, what's your early lean?
The early lean has to go with the odds, and I haven't seen the odds, but I have to imagine the odds are going to favor the champion. Champion to get it done. I imagine the odds, even looking a little deeper, will probably favor him to get it done inside the distance. He also is the better wrestler on paper than Covington, but the question arises: do you have to be the better wrestler to necessarily win the fight? If Covington is able to survive the right hands and the knockout power and make Woodley work, we've seen Jake Shields kind of initiate a similar game plan, right?
Yeah.
Clinching, a lot of that work. Shields didn't necessarily out-wrestle Woodley to get the win. So I could definitely see a Covington decision, but if you had to ask me the lean, I got to go with whatever the odds say, and I can guarantee without looking at it, the odds are going to be favoring the incumbent champ, Woodley.
Right. Oh, by decision or stoppage?
It's going to favor him by stoppage, I imagine.
By stoppage,
yeah.
Okay. So on paper, they both can wrestle. I think even Covington would concede that Woodley cracks harder. But if I'm going off the previous fight for each guy, I'm leaning towards Covington.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Covington's been able to poke that bear, and if the best Woodley comes out, then I'll be leaning towards Woodley. So we got to see how this develops. But they want to know, they want an answer, and I can't just ride that fence. So as a gambler who's notorious for choosing underdogs, I guess I would go with Covington by decision. No, via stoppage would be the biggest, the unlikeliest of the scenario.
Right.
I think Covington would have to win via decision against, similar to how Jake was able to beat Tyron Woodley. And that's, you stay out of the range of his power.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't want to get kicked in the legs. I mean, everyone forgets about how good of a kicker Woodley is. He just hasn't kicked much, in his last few fights. So Covington via decision is my early lean, just because I thought he was incredible this past Saturday, and Woodley's last fight, it was, you know, the shoulder slowed him down, and I think he was just overthinking things, you know what I mean? So let's see how the camp plays out, and let's see how the mental warfare plays out, and who knows, they may have a different answer for you come week of the fight when we have to give our predictions and do our videos then.
Yeah.
Now here are the results. 56% came in with Woodley via stoppage.
Okay.
19% Woodley via decision. 17% Covington via decision. 8% Covington via stoppage. So by a landslide, Woodley via stoppage is the more popular vote that came in.
Yeah, and I got to imagine that's what the odds say. That doesn't necessarily mean that'll be my breakdown or my pick, by the way. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
That could happen. I mean, Woodley's, how many people has he clowned? Haran, like with one punch power. Lawler.
Yeah.
Koscheck. There's another one out there. I mean, he's had some
Dong Young Kim.
Some pretty vicious KOs when he does uncork them. So, all right, there you have it. There's today's Daily Debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk to Gamebred, Jorge Masvidal. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Hear your favorite sports from a different perspective on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. VSiN gives you the view from the counter on the only channel broadcasting live from a Las Vegas sportsbook. Follow the money while you follow the games on SiriusXM, Channel 204. Odds are you'll like what you hear on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. So, Dan, Tom, check this out, man. This caught my attention. Remember I mentioned tickets go on sale for UFC 227 on Friday?
Yeah.
You know, usually they do the Fight Club Wednesday, which is tomorrow.
Okay.
Then they do the newsletter on Thursday, and then they do the general public on Friday. In the past, I got to look at this again, but in the past, LA's been a very, very expensive market. And they have sold out. They really have. There's been those seats that are like, it's usually like 1,000 to sit around the cage.
Yeah.
And then the next ones are 800. Those are usually the risers.
Right.
And those don't get sold out. That's what Dana White used to tweet back in the day. So you actually wind up with a pretty good seat. But he hasn't tweeted in ages, at least a couple years.
Yeah.
So I'd look at it and go, nah, man. LA wouldn't sell well. And then next thing you know, they'd get themselves a sellout. Why? Because Californians, especially SoCalers, are a walk-up crowd. But on this particular day, they are actually selling at very, very good prices.
Okay.
Listen to this, man. Tickets for UFC 227, Dillashaw versus Garbrandt, go on sale Friday, June 15th at 10 a.m. Pacific, and are priced at $362.25. That's the closest ticket. It used to be 1,000, dude, or 800, or even. I thought for sure if you would have put a gun to my head and said over 500 or under, I would have said over and you would have killed me. These are $362.25 for the best, $284.60, $332.90, $196.65, $165. Why did they do that? $165.60, $134.55, $103.50, $82.80, and $62.10. That does not include fees. Oh yeah, if you throw in Ticketmaster, the price doubles. Just kidding. You know what I mean. Those guys are ruthless, man. Actually, tickets are available or purchase online. It says www.access.com. So I guess they're the rivals to these people now. But $362 at an LA show with 2 titles, that's not bad, man. And here's the card. It's not complete yet, but I think it's pretty close. Dillashaw Garbrandt, Johnson, meaning Demetrius, versus Cejudo, 2 titles. The lowest weight classes. Yes, I get it. Cub Swanson versus Renato Moicano. That will be a great fight.
Yep.
I think what I'm getting here is there's a lot of the general public that still is Liddell on the card, is Ortiz on the card, is GSP. You know, they may not get some of these names, but if you're listening to the show and you're a casual fan, let me tell you, that first one's got a lot of heat. It's going to be a great fight. Someone is going to get KO'd. Demetrius is arguably the greatest fighter in our sports history. He'll be facing an Olympic medalist in Henry Cejudo. So that also will be a solid fight. They fought before, and Demetrius got him pretty easy, but Cejudo has improved since then. Cub Swanson versus Renato Moicano. That can't possibly suck. Swanson fights are amazing, and Moicano looked good against Cater recently. Hell, he even looked good when he lost to Ortega about a year ago. Derek Brunson versus Antonio Carlos Jr. Since they call him Shoeface, could Tuivasa drink out of...
Oh, I don't... That's just, they're just kissing at that point, right?
No, not if he just empties his mouth full of beer into... They do call him Shoeface. Never mind. Betch Correa. Oh, Betch. Versus Irene Aldana. Betch makes it fun, man. She grew on me. She'd always get in people's faces, but she started losing her fair share of fights. She kind of beat the lesser of the big name 4 horsewomen, but she got herself in the right position. But she always gets in someone's face, and she always has a great weigh-in. Polyana Viana versus J.J. Aldrich. Ricardo Ramos versus Kyung Ho Kang. Oh, man, there's a drop-off here. Okay, Danielle Taylor, who I believe is law enforcement in L.A., versus Weili Zhang. 3 female fights? What is this, the Lilith Fair? It's usually just 1 female fight per card, isn't it?
All right.
They're going back to that, huh?
Well, at that point, you might as well just count the total bouts and see if there's room for any more gems to come our way on that one, right?
That card needs help, man. Please give them Cody Stamann and Aljamain Sterling. They've kind of been beefing, and the card could use some support in case something happens to the main event. Knock on wood, right? We don't want it to happen, but it's always nice to learn from it. And I think those guys have been beefing, so it'd be nice to have them on that card.
Well, you came strong. You had me here, George, because this is August 4th, right?
August 4th.
Birthday's August 7th. So, and this is also the end of there's a nice little break of UFC cards. So old Dan Tom's a little pondering, you know.
Going out there?
I was thinking maybe I'd parlay that into a birthday weekend, a trip of getting away, you know, kind of part. But then you kind of read through the card. And then what happened with UFC 223, how I tried to combine work and pleasure, and that just bit me in the butt, where I ended up working and then getting half the pleasure because half the card fell out. You know, so a lot of these things are going to probably keep me away, but those ticket prices alone got me itching, man. Those are good ticket prices.
Ticket prices are respectable,
solid.
yeah.
Very respectable.
And 2 title fights. Swanson and Moicano will not suck. Bronson and Carlos Jr. will not suck. But it does need 2 more fights to call it a pay-per-view and to trail UFC 225 and UFC 226. It needs 2 great fights.
Yeah.
Not just to sell the pay-per-view, but I think LA fans deserve it because LA fans have gotten the short end many times. I used to memorize one of them. One of them I remember had a Weidman card that fell apart. I think it wound up being Ronda versus...
UFC 104 didn't do you guys too well, right? That was the Shogun and Machida.
Shogun and Machida. Well, I didn't mind that fight, but there was one card that had like Munoz, Weidman. So many things just fell apart. That was a Mendez-Aldo fight that was supposed to be there. LA's really, really, really gotten hammered pretty bad. LA deserves another fight card. All right. I am listening to the queue. Let's take a break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We got to track down Game Bread. Hopefully we get them when we come back.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, let's just get into it, man. I want to start talking to Game Bread. Jorge Masvidal, our guest here on the hotline. What's up, Jorge Masvidal? ¿Cómo estás?
Super bien, hermano. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. You know, I was thinking that when you went to Chicago, I'd see you in the crowd, taking selfies, hanging out. Man, you were in corner man duty.
Yeah, man. Just doing whatever I can for the partners, you know, making sure they get them victories.
Are you an X's and O's guy, or do they bring you more for like motivation and you know, you just you're a G to walk out with, obviously, but what do you think? What do you think? Why do people like you in the corner of those two big fights? Those were two big fights, and you were right there.
Well, I got a surgical eye, you know. I could look at a guy and, you know, fucking scream out what he's trying to set up just by the weight distribution and how he's moving and things that he's doing. And plus, I've looked at video of the guys who are fighting for my opponents. But also just for a moral boost, you know. Like you said, I'm a dog in there, you know. So they know that we're coming to war. And I'm a good person to hype the people up, especially if they're my friends. If I don't know somebody, it's a little different. But if they're my boys, I know how to motivate them. I know how to talk to Kobe. I know how to motivate Joel. You know. I mean, we just boys at the end of the day. That's it, really.
How do you guys figure it out? Because Mike Brown was, you know, he would jump in and in between rounds. But in the last round, it was you. So I don't know if you guys pre-planned this or if you just tell Mike, hey, I know, give me these 50 seconds. I think I know what it takes to bring Kobe home, you know, going into that last round.
Well, going in the fourth round, I mean, Kobe was pushing the throttle since round one. What a fucking pace. You know, and I don't know how he loses the first round either. We watched it. He scored like 3 takedowns. Round 1, 2, and 3 are identical to me. Round 4, he gave up 2 takedowns, you know, but I also knew he was kind of catching his breath. But I just wanted to make sure that in his head he didn't think that we could even play around and give up the fifth. I just wanted to get that point across to him, like, man, come out there and destroy this guy like I know you can, you know. So that's the reason why I went in there, just to, like, fucking get in his face and tell him, bro, don't slow down and don't give him not one scramble to this guy.
American Top Team, it just seems like you are all very cohesive with each other. No egos. Like, I would have thought other head coaches might have a problem with that, but obviously you and Brown have a good relationship. Conan and Brown have a good relationship.
Me and Brown have been teammates, buddies, friends, and he's my coach, you know. So when me and Brown is a different situation than a lot of other gyms. You know, he's a head coach here, but he's also been a good friend of mine for quite some time, and he's also my coach, you know.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's the last guy with an ego, man. He's done so much in his fucking career that Mike Brown has no ego whatsoever. You know, there's a lot of guys, you know, usually the coaches that never did shit in their life, they just read books or whatever. Those are the guys with the biggest ego. Mike Brown is a complete opposite, man, to tell you the truth. I've never met somebody with less of an ego, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now, your boy, Colby Covington, gets the win. He becomes the interim champ. He's got gold. That's the highest of highs, you know. And then Romero, your fellow Cubano, he comes up just short in the main event. Oh, man, what does that do to your emotions? I know they say when your homies fight, you're a nervous wreck. And so you had a super high and kind of a super low. And at the end of the night, what were you feeling, Jorge Masvidal?
Man, it was bitter and sweet, you know. Watch my little brother get a real title, you know, and that was fucking almost surreal, but I knew he was going to do it, you know. It was one of those, like, I know he's going to win, you know, but it's still like, damn, you did it, you know, you're here. And, with Joel, man, it just hurt, bro, because I really, you know, and, you know, I've been in the wrong set of decisions a lot of times, but, man, and I don't want to take no away from Whittaker, because I think he's a stud. I think he's the only guy that could push Joel to that brink and come out on his own 2 feet, because you see what he does to everybody else. But I just don't understand what a 10-8 round is. I might have never seen one in my whole fucking life. I've seen a couple fights, man. So to me, it's mind-blowing. You know, you win a round by jabs and low kicks, and you won the first 2 rounds, no questions about it. But the third one, I think he got dropped twice. You know, I'm going to rewatch that fight again to make sure, but I think he got dropped twice, and it's crazy, man. You get dropped, you show significant damage, and they score it the same way. And in the 5th round, the same exact thing, you know. In the 4th round, I thought it was close, so Joel landed that shot that made Whittaker wobble a little bit, so I was kind of like, man, we might have got the 4th as well, but the 3rd and 5th, one of them has to be a 10-8, you know?
Yeah,
and no, sure enough, the judges...
A lot of people have been saying that. A lot of people called it a draw. But I guess the ones that matter didn't. But if you ever want to see a 10-8 round, it actually had a stoppage. But go on YouTube and check out Masvidal versus Ray. That one was on its way to being a 10-8, but the Masvidal guy, he had some jean shorts and a ponytail. He actually got the stoppage, but it was on his way to being a 10-8 round, maybe a 10-7.
Let me tell you something. If that fight was in Chicago, I would have lost a split decision.
Masvidal always comes up with
the judging there was just horrible. I mean, look at Kobe going into the 5th round. It was 2-2. I was like, how the fuck is it 2-2, man? 1 through 3 is all Kobe. I don't understand. You know, it's a crazy sport, man. It's just insane, man. You don't know what the judges are looking for. They say it's damage. They say it's cage control. It's fucking nuts, man.
What do you think this? If Yoel had won it, and I know both you and Yoel have great feelings and obviously very bitter feelings towards the island and country of Cuba, but would this have meant something to Cuba if Yoel had won it, or is he too far removed for it to even matter? What do you think, man? Because Joe Rogan made a good point. There are some great athletes that come out of Cuba, whether it's wrestling or MMA or baseball or track and field. You know, like, go ahead.
People are going crazy right now, so because people know who the people's champ is, you know. And every time Joel competes, I mean, win or lose, that guy's such a dog. How could you not fucking embrace him, especially if you're a countryman of him, you know? But not just for Cuba. For all us Latins, you know, from all of South America, Central America, it's a Latin champion, you know. We don't have, I think, any Latin champions right now, do we?
No.
Not UFC, no.
In the UFC? No. I would have been the first one in a long, long time, you know, that's 100% Latin, actually. I think he'd be the only one that's 100% Latin to be a champion in the UFC. And it's crazy because he's knocked out so many ex-champions and all types of craziness, you know. He's definitely the greatest fighter to have not won a belt yet, walking the planet Earth, in my honest opinion.
George, let's focus on you now, bud. Did the juices get flowing a little bit from seeing two of your closest homies go out there and compete? One of them's got a shiny belt. I know that you had told us when we saw you in April in Virginia at the military bases that you were looking at the summer, but UFC 227 in August is filling up. You know, the one in Boise at the end of July is already full, and I'm not seeing game bread anywhere there. Can you update us? What's your timeline? Has anyone else pushed the right buttons that you want to mix it up with, or what can you tell us?
I can tell you that the UFC is going to start scrambling to give me an opponent. I've been trying to do it, but a couple guys have already said no. The management company said no, and man, I just... fucking frustrating, man. But whatever, I'm still here. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get somebody at some point, whether it be a top 10 guy or not. Somebody's face is going to get dismantled, and I'm just waiting for that phone call. You know, I'm in shape. I just finished in the gym here. Did a couple rounds with my partner, Dustin, you know, getting ready for the Eddie Alvarez fight. We're killers over here. We're in shape, you know. Even when I'm not in camp, we're in shape. So as soon as they give me the word, give me the 8 weeks to get in there, I'm going to be ready, you know. I have no idea who it's going to be. 2 guys already turned it down. It's a fucking shit show, man.
Can you tell us who turned you down? Is that private, public? What's that situation?
Oh, of course I can tell you down. Usman's management turned it down.
Huh.
The dude thinks he deserves a title shot off beating Maia on a 2 weeks notice. Awesome for you if that's how you think. And, of course, Magny, no further comments. You know, I don't even want to touch on the subject because then the guy writes a book about me. It's easy. We don't like each other. Let's fight, you know?
Yeah.
So they rather go to Twitter and fucking flip, you know, and shit like that. So I don't want to mention these guys' names. But they know who they are. They know that behind closed doors, they said no, you know? And it's funny because Usman was calling me out, saying that I had ducked him. Basically, that's calling me a coward, you know? When I'm saying let's fight, he doesn't want to fight. And I saw him at Kobe's fight. I thought he had 2 broken hands. That guy has to be better than Wolverine because he didn't have no fucking cast on. He didn't have nothing on his hands, you know? So that dude is like Super Marvel X, you know? I don't know what the fuck he's made out of. You broke your 2 hands and you ain't got no fucking cast on? Wow, bro. It's fucking superpowers for real.
Okay. Let's see here. I think Magny makes a lot of sense. Usman,
yeah, but
is Usman feeling? I think Usman might be feeling like he's next. What? Magny's not gonna fight? You already know that for a fact?
I know that for a fact.
Okay.
That's for a fact, my brother.
Well,
that guy, the only thing he's fighting is fucking diabetes. I don't know what the fuck, bro, but he ain't fighting me, bro. That skinny anorexic motherfucker.
Let's see here. I imagine that Usman's feeling like he has the winner of Woodley and Colby, maybe. But that's still months away.
Why do you feel that, though? How do you entitle yourself to beating a man in 2 weeks' notice, the first top 5 guy that you ever beat, and it's not even, bro? Did you enjoy that fight? Would you watch that fight again? If your chick, hey, let's watch some fights. Oh, let's watch this fight. She never saw it. Would you watch that fight?
The one with Maya?
Maya and Usman, would you watch it?
No.
Exactly. You didn't even got to answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like I forget fights. What happened in that one? He didn't finish him, right?
No, it went to a decision.
They didn't do shit. Maya landed a couple straight lefts here and there. Usman landed a couple straight lefts here and there, and that's it, bro. It was fucking a snooze fest, bro. And I get it. Maya was in shape. The guy wasn't supposed to be. He's taking the fight in 2 weeks' notice. Put this guy away. Take him out of his misery, bro. You've been training for a 5-rounder. How long to fight Rapunzel BB? Get this guy out of there, bro, after the first or second round. Or at least try to, bro. Just fucking staring at him, making faces, talking shit in there. This is a fucking fight game, This is what it's becoming now. Bunch of loudmouth motherfuckers, bro.
Well, like I said, I think because of his record, he feels like he's probably getting Covington and Woodley next, the winner of that. But I think Darren Till's also feeling the same way. I'm not trying to make excuses for these. I don't know why they turn you down. What about Thompson or Lawler or anyone else? If you think that those two aren't going to mix it up,
I'd love a rematch with either Thompson or Maya. But obviously I haven't since we fought. I haven't been able to do anything, so I didn't expect to get it.
Yeah.
But if I got offered any fight, I'd either pick Maya or Thompson. And that's the route that I'd go and just start from scratch right then and there.
Yeah.
But so then I'm just gonna whoever they put in front of me, chop them up till I get back to Thompson or I get to Maya. We're gonna fight again. I've never had a rematch in my career. I want a rematch, and I'm gonna do whatever work I have to do to get in front of those guys again.
What about Dos Anjos or Lawler? You care about either guy?
Lawler's my partner, bro. I mean, he's a cool ass dude. If the UFC said you guys have to fight, then I guess we could talk about it and we'll figure it out, me and him.
Yeah.
RDA all day. I'll fight his ass tomorrow, bro.
All right, Jorge. Well, hey, great to see you in the cornerman role. I hope you get one of these fights and soon.
UFC. Don't get used to it, bro. You won't be seeing me in too many corners, man. It's not my thing, bro.
Early October, UFC 229 will be in Vegas. That's the one I think that sounds right about when you should be fighting. Hopefully you're down with that.
What's the date on that? What's the date?
October 6th in Vegas.
October 6th in Vegas. Shit, I'm gonna be so broke by then. They're gonna need to sponsor me till then, bro. October 6th is a minute ago, man.
Well, then maybe we can get you on the September in Russia. Do you want to go to Russia? It's cold.
I wouldn't mind going to Russia. I fought there maybe 10 years ago or something like that. I wouldn't mind going to Russia as long as I don't gotta get taxed too crazy.
All right.
I wouldn't mind going and competing there again. As long as it's a top 10 opponent, man, I really don't care where it's at. As long as it's not in England. That's the only place I'm not going to fight at because the robberies there are a little blatant.
All right, brother. We got to let you go. Thanks for doing the show, my man. Take care, all right?
All right, man.
All right, see you. That is Jorge Masvidal, and big thanks to Keri Melendez. And, folks, we'll see you tomorrow. For Dan and Danny, I'm George. Go out there and be a champion.